Hi. Good evening. Oh, lots of people joining. Awesome. I was really worried that this. Hi. How's it going, Amy? Hi there. I was worried that this would ruin people's dinner or interact with their dinner hours. So glad to see you. I don't know if any of us makers actually keep regular hours for any of that kind of thing. I am so excited to talk about this topic, and in fact, I'm doing it instead of actually getting ready for a show that I should be doing right now. While we're waiting for everybody to join, hopefully, you guys were able to watch my scope the other night. I don't think it's available for viewing anymore, but for the Eat, Drink, Stitch that I'm expanding out to other cities around the US. So I'll send some more information out about that if you want to join my newsletter at heypaulstudios.com. So tonight we're going to be talking about show prep, so for holidays, and I'll use the words art show and craft show interchangeably. And so hopefully this is something that's helpful in getting ready for your prep. And I went back to try and figure out how many shows I've done over the past 5 years, I guess I don't know, to so that I could gain credibility, but I'm not sure without going back through old records and that kind of thing. But I would say probably closer to 45-ish shows, either shows that I've done or ones that I helped friends with, that kind of thing. And so I wrote this post a year ago at this time that I was going to publish on my blog and never got around to it. I'm terrible, terrible, terrible at blogging. And so I wanted to share it, plus some thoughts that I've had as I've been getting ready I'm just doing 2 shows this year, and that's it. I did 9 last year, and I will never ever do that again. So feel free to comment as I'm talking. If I happen to miss it, I'll try and, catch it at the end. So for most of you know me, I'm a hand embroidery artist, and I previously sold on Etsy, did a lot of local shows, and kind of transitioned into doing more of a teaching role. But I will be doing a couple of art shows this year. So first of all, let's talk about selecting the show that you want to be in. And I'm going to be referencing my notes here. Yes, awesome. Stitching away. There's some really awesome shows. I know that you're here in Kansas City, and there's some great ones coming up. So choosing shows. This doesn't matter it doesn't matter if you are brand new at showing or if you've been doing this for a while. You really, really need to be choosy about which shows you're doing. Number one, you deserve to be choosy. Your art is amazing. And also it really sets a tone for your portfolio of shows that you've done in the past, because there may be a really big one someday that they want to know what shows you've done. And so you want those to represent you well. After you've been doing this for a while, they'll actually start seeking you out and contacting you about showing at their art shows or art fairs, that kind of thing. And you really, really want to be choosy. Here's some things to think about. First of all, is it established? So I don't really do a lot of the new shows that are coming to town, because I want the opportunity to go in there as a consumer and check it out, kind of scope it out, get the feel, talk to friends who have done it, and then decide if I want to go forward with it. Also, does their mission, like the group that's putting the show on, or the organization, does their mission meet your own? So I can say that there's a show that I previously did quite a bit, that I really got quite a bit out of it in terms of sales and notoriety, that kind of thing. And I started to really notice that their kind of ethics behind things and the market that they were really focusing on didn't meet my own, and my customer base didn't even feel comfortable going to those shows because kind of the lack of diversity that they had. And so I quit working with them based on that. It's okay to be choosy and make sure that it's fitting your niche market. Think about the fees and the location. So keep in mind, I live in Kansas City. I live in the Midwest. Everything is cheap here. Everything from housing to art show fees is very cheap here. So I have a personal thing where if I'm showing here locally, I say that I will not pay more than $60 for a show. Not to say I've never broken that rule, but that's just kind of a personal thing for me. And I would change that if I was going outside of this area. So know your base, kind of know what you can afford and what's good for you, because you want to make sure, obviously, that you're at least making that back. And make sure that the location is good. Your niche market is going to be able to get to that area that they're interested in it, that type of thing. Think about the number of shows that you sign up for. So me, I did 9 shows last year during the holiday season, so within 2 months, and it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy making. So you may have, let's say you have 5 weekends that you're available. Welcome. Let's say that you have 5 weekends that you're available and you're like, I'm going to sign up for 5 shows in that time. Think about the fact that when you sign up for a show, you are very much expected to promote it. So that's going out and putting flyers out around the neighborhood, putting it on your social media, that kind of thing. If you're trying to promote 5 shows in 5 weeks, you're going to wear out your audience and probably not be able to give the shows the attention that they deserve. And the people who run it they do keep track of if you're sharing it enough, and that might be a consideration for the next year if they ask you back or not. So really think about if you have time to do that, not to mention the inventory too. Competition. So this is kind of a whole other topic, but something it's okay to ask when you sign up for a show is, who are some of the other makers that are going to be there? Is it people you know? Are they other, let's say, so I'm a textile artist. Are there other textile artists? I have taught now through Eat, Drink, Stitch hundreds of people in Kansas City how to do embroidery. And so through that, I know that there are a lot more embroidery artists that are showing now. I'm super excited for them. But because of that, I know that I'm not going to do a lot of hoop or really any hoop art at my shows now. So it did happen where I signed up for a show last year and the person sitting right next to me had very, very similar products, and it was uncomfortable for her. It was uncomfortable for me, and it kind of weirded out the customers there. I did talk to the person running the show, was like, what were you thinking? So it's okay to ask, who are some of the other people that are going to be there? Does my product fit within it? Inventory. So make sure that you have plenty of inventory when you go in, but don't try to make so much that you're hurting yourself, that you're causing yourself a great deal of discomfort or loss of sleep or anything like that. Make sure that you have enough to fill your display and that you have a little bit of supply in the back to pull out if you're having a really awesome show. Something that you should know is that really awesome sales days happen and really bad ones happen. It's not a reflection on you as an artist. There are a lot of factors at play, and I'll talk about that a little bit more. Make sure that your products, that there's some continuity in it. So for example, I'm not going to bring in some of my my pieces that are like anatomical pieces that I used to do, and then also some that are really highly themed on, say, craft beer. Those two things don't go together. It will confuse people, and so make sure that your products have some continuity there. A sale pile is really awesome. So if you have a box where it's either some things that you're wanting to, some product that you're wanting to move out that you're discontinuing, or say you like misstitched it or misdrew a line or whatever, and you let them know that this is why it's in this pile and it's a sale pile, that's a really good thing. And make sure that your products are clearly marked. So I know that there's a little bit of a debate out there. Some people say that they don't actually mark their prices because it sparks like a conversation with customers. If you want to try that, go ahead. For me, thinking of myself as a consumer, I'm very unlikely to ask the price of something unless I'm super interested. And even at that, I'm probably going to be a little annoyed that there wasn't a price clearly listed on it. So I would recommend that you do that favor to your customers. So let's talk about setup of your booth, which is my favorite part. There will be some shows that say that you can only do a table, that it has to be uniform, that there are like certain tablecloths that you have to use, that kind of thing. I don't do those shows. Personally, I like to get weird with my displays. This year I am doing, it's almost done, so I'll be able to show it to you soon, but I'm doing kind of a kiosk type thing, like a food kiosk, almost like a food cart type thing. I am mostly just promoting my event and selling some of my stitch kits and some patterns and that kind of thing. So it's going to be like a sushi kiosk. So get weird with it. Do something different. It doesn't just have to be a table. There's so many different things that you can do. I really like vertical, so using your vertical space too. So whether that's shutters or closet doors, I've used those a lot. Get creative with that and vary the heights of things, the color. Really think about the color and how that's drawing people in. And safe displays. So make sure that your display is safe. And what I mean by this is that you don't want a customer trying to grab a piece of your art to pick it up and look at it and have your entire display crash. It embarrasses them, it freaks out the other people at the show, and your stuff's going to get ruined. Don't ask me how I know this, just have a safe display. Think about, too, the little kids who might come through, so their parents aren't always watching to make sure they're not grabbing your stuff, so make sure that the stuff that you have down at their level is safe. If you do some of the, I've done some of the things here in Kansas City where it's like craft beer meets crafters, and it's a show where they get to sample beer and they get to buy art. Be careful with those, by the way. You have to make sure you have the right product that goes over well with those types of shows, but expect that some of those customers might be similar to kids because they're super drunk and they might be picking up your stuff and doing weird stuff with it. So have a safe display. Practice setting up your display. I do it, I set it up once at home, take a picture of it so that I know how stuff's going to go so that you're not trying to rush and do that at the beginning or when you get there. Expect that a large amount of your setup time is going to be just trying to get your stuff in the door while other people are trying to get their stuff in the door. Think about your tubs and how you're organizing your items to unload from your car into the area, into the venue. Try and get you don't want to make a ton of trips. So I really like the Tupperware container, Tupperware, the latch box tubs, plastic tubs. Those are really great. Get something on wheels if you need to. My display that I have this year is on caster wheels and everything can fit within it, and it's just 2 cabinets, and that's the entire display. So I think that's everything with setup. Yes, Kelly, that's an awesome question, and welcome. I didn't even see you join in. So I will post this stuff on heypaulstudios.com. I can't promise that it will be in written form because I'm so awesome. I'm not really good at writing all this out, but you'll be able to do a replay here on Periscope. You can also swipe and share it, and then I'll post it on my website as well. So next up, dress to impress. You don't have to go out and buy a brand new outfit. You don't have to go get your hair all done and everything like that. But just know that you're on display as well as your stuff. Oh, see, do you need to manage your booth? Oh, I'm so sorry I missed that. Do you manage your booth alone, I think is what you said, or do I have a helper? Correct me if I misread that. I do my booth alone. This year I have a special helper. I haven't posted pictures for a while, but most of you know one of my favorite hashtags is Aunt Duty. I have 18 nieces and nephews, but one of them, she is a 7-year-old who, Bayla, who she's come to my show every year, but this is the first year that she's old enough to actually help me. Sorry if you hear some dogs in the background here. But so she's going to be there and helping to pass stuff out. But anyways, I really don't usually have a helper, but if it's a super busy show, you might want to consider doing that. I do have a helper on call though to bring me food. That's something you need to think about. If I don't bring my own lunch or if I need some pizza delivered, that kind of thing, have a helper on call for that. My puggles are going crazy out here because it's dog walking hour in my neighborhood. So but yes, dress to impress. Make sure that you're just at least, wearing something nice, standing out because you are presenting your work. Talking to your customers. This is a huge one. Outside of social media, I'm very shy and I'm very awkward. And having a conversation with another person when I'm not like at work is horrifying. Sometimes even at work. But you have to be able to engage with your customers. That's all there is to it. And it's okay that you do that in kind of an awkward way because maybe you're an artist and I don't know. Used to working in the studio by yourself. Here's some tips on that. You need to have like an engagement phrase. So when somebody comes up to your booth, have something that you're ready to say. And I don't mean like, hi, how are you today kind of thing, because they've already been asked that by 15 other people inside the venue. Think of something, whether it's like, hey, have you ever done any stitching before? That's something I might ask. Uh, what's your favorite color? I don't know. So an example of last year, one of the shows I used to carry a product where I made these like stitched pillows. Yeah, let me know if you have any questions. That's a good one. I usually add that one in there, and a way to kind of engage would be to get them to say something that relates them to the product a little bit. So last year I did a show where the product that I had was these hand-stitched pillows, and they were all different state shapes. I had all 50 states there, and I was doing it in a college town where the majority of people aren't from there. They're transient from another city. They're there for college, and maybe they just ended up staying there, or they're actually in college. So a question I would ask when people came up was, where are you from? Like, what state are you originally from? That's actually a common question in Lawrence, Kansas, because not a lot of people are actually townies. And so they would get excited and say, oh, I'm from Ohio. And I'm like, I have an Ohio pillow. Let me show you here. Oh, look, it's Columbus, where you said you're from. And they get really excited because you've made it like, yeah, so that you can do that with your own product. It doesn't have to be that specific, but make it something that's like, it relates to them. And then, they're already engaged, and then you've gotten the awkwardness out of the way. You've kind of tied them in. They've already stood there a couple of minutes at your booth, which is important. It's quick and easy for people to move through there. So, something to think about. Also, think about questions that they ask you. So a question that I always get that I'm like, why do people ask me this, is how long does this take you? And at first I thought, oh, they're like judging the price or something like that. It's not it. That's their way of just saying they're interested. They want to know about your process. For me, I have some attention issues, and so knowing how long I took on a product, I don't always know. So I'm not saying make something up, but kind of estimate and be able to have an answer ready for them because they are curious. That's usually a sign that they're really interested in your product. Also, learn to take a compliment. This is so hard. This was so hard for me, and so many of my friends had to really push me on this one. When somebody comes up and they're like, I really love your work, it's so amazing. If your reaction is, oh, I'm really bad at this part of it, or thanks, but whatever, there's nothing that they're going to want to do to get out of that awkward conversation besides like drop your product and run. So it's okay that taking a compliment is hard. It's very hard for a lot of us, but have a reaction for that. Like, thanks, I really enjoy doing it, or thanks, it means a lot to me. And, something small like that. Just take that compliment. It's very important, and it's insulting to them if you don't, even if you don't mean to insult them. Smile. Please smile. At the end of the day, your mouth will hurt because you smile so much, but it's important. And just read their body language. If they seem like they're ready to move on, it's cool. Be ready for the next person. When someone gives you a compliment, just say thank you. Yeah, that's as easy as just saying thank you. If you don't want to carry on, have additional things to say, that just a simple thank you means so much to them. And smile and really mean it when you say it too. Etiquette. So this is the big one that I want to hit on, and we're almost done here, but there are a lot of things about etiquette that I think that people don't realize. So number one, sometimes you're in some very, very tight quarters when you're showing, and if you don't want to cause your really good show day to cause a bad show day for your neighbor. So let's say there is a large crowd in front of your booth, which will sometimes happen, and you don't want that spilling over into like their section. It's okay to be like, hey guys, like pile up a little bit over here so that my friend Jean here can show her amazing work off too. Be sure to rein your crowd in, because at that point, if they're there for your stuff, you're responsible for them and keep them in your area. Your friend Jean will do the favor back to you. Be a good neighbor. It's so very important. And also your friends hanging out. So I have a lot of my friends that sometimes when we see each other the most is at art shows, and I love when they show up. It's awesome. But we kind of have an unspoken deal, especially true when parents and friends who stop to talk. Yeah, exactly, Amy. It can be really, if this is your friend that you see at your art show and you're excited to see them, they came out, of course you want to pay attention to them and you really appreciate it, you have to be able to navigate like still taking in outside customers. If they see you just hanging out with your friends and chatting, they're unlikely to come over to your booth. So you got to have my friends know when I start looking off into the other way and I see people coming, they know, and they'll like go to another booth and come back or whatever. But you got to be able to manage that somehow. Leaving early. If you're supposed to be there until 5, if at 3 o'clock you're planning to pack up and leave, there better be an emergency because you're going to cause loss in sales for your neighbors. That's not being a good neighbor. And some of the places will actually penalize you for that. If you're not having a good show day, you got to hang in there as long as possible because packing up and leaving early, it just harms other people in the shows. And it's just not, it's not very nice. People do it all the time and it truly kind of drives me crazy. Something to be aware of if you haven't done shows before is that there is this sometimes kind of weird thing that happens where people want to trade. Trading happens a lot. And that means that at the end of the show, the other makers want to like swap their product with your product. Know ahead if this is something that you're okay with and have a response ready. So I typically have a stance where I don't trade unless it's a food item. Like I will trade for food, no problem. Or there's one show that I do in Lawrence where I have 2 maker friends there that I love their stuff, and I know that I want to likely give their gifts to friends, and I will swap stuff out. And that's just a thing that we've established over the years of doing shows together. It's okay to say to other people that, I don't trade. Know if it's going to hurt your bottom line if you do that. You can't just give all of your stuff away and maybe you don't even want what this other person wants to trade. So have a response for that. Good days versus bad days. There are days that you're going to have a really good show and the rest of the people around you are like complaining like this is the worst show ever. Can you believe how low sales are? That kind of thing. And in your mind, you're like, well, shoot, I'm having a really awesome day, but I don't want to say that because I don't want to be a big old jerk. Or vice versa, you see the person next to you that's just killing it over there and you've like barely made your booth feedback. That happens. It does not reflect upon you as a maker. Yeah, maybe there's some things that you can take from it and tweak, but that's also, it happens. There will be shows that you will do where you're like, well, I got my booth fee and I'm happy about that. And there can be so many factors at play. Here in Kansas City, around this time of year, if there's a threat for any type of weird weather, then that's when it will happen. We had a threat for dusting of a snow last year and it killed my sales. I bring stuff to do in case it's a slow show and I can make stuff for the next one. So wrapping it up, the last 2 things really quickly. Packaging, have something to put your product in. It doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be wild and crazy. I have some vintage wallpaper out of a book that I sew together and I put my product in that or in tissue paper, that kind of thing. Just have something that they can safely carry their product home with. Finally, coupons and incentives. So this is a one-time situation where this customer is seeing you face to face. And so give them a coupon to take home, a card, something that's going to cause retention so that they're going to follow you on social media or come back to your website, that kind of thing. You want to convert them into ongoing customers. So I am sorry for the puggles who are barking in the background and my low battery light that just came on. Please post some questions that you have, or if there are suggestions for other makers, things that you found, go ahead and post those now. Not loud. Okay, good. It's dog barking hour because it's dog walking hour. I don't know why they're choosing to do this right now. So what are some experiences you've had? Don't forget to tell us where you're selling this season. Oh, thank you. So this year I am doing, I'm in Kansas City, and here in North Kansas City where I live in a town of 5,000 people, and it's surrounded on all 4 sides by Kansas City. It's this interesting little nook that I live in. But anyways, we have a fundraiser that we do every year for the Parkville Animal Shelter. That's a cause that's near and dear to me. So I sell there, and it is literally in a church basement, which is, if you know me, that's not exactly my niche area. it just goes well. I can't explain it, and I've done it for 5 years there. Sometimes if it is a little bit slow, then I go ahead and just make stuff for the other big show that I'm doing, which is Lola Lawrence, Ladies of the Lawrence Arts. It's a show that I've done, I think this is my 4th year, and I'm not even kidding. When I found out that I was accepted to do that show, it was one that there were tears. I was so excited because it was a show that I knew because it was very long and established in Lawrence, and there's kind of a wait list to get on, that kind of thing. So it meant a lot to me to get in on that one. So I will be doing that one in December. I'll get those up on my website. I'm also, Craft Collective is a relatively new show over in Lawrence. I'm not actually showing there, but I'm teaching, thank you, I'm teaching 2 classes, one for adults, one for kids, and a portion of those of the sales from those 2 classes goes to Big Brothers Big Sisters of Lawrence in Douglas County in Kansas. And we'll be doing a couple of ornaments there, and I'll have listings for that coming up soon. So thank you. But yeah, definitely scaling back. It's okay to say no to art shows. They'll come back and ask you again, or if they don't, there'll be others. It's okay to say no. You don't have to be crazy at this time of the year. And I mean that in terms of you don't have to be worn out from putting too much product out there. So any other last minute questions before I go and wrangle my dogs in? Thanks so much for joining. Great advice, ethical show promoters. Thank you. Yeah, just really keep that in mind, because if it's not working for you, if you don't feel like it's a show you would go to yourself, good. Yeah, hopefully that's a positive thing, because yeah, you are your product. You deserve to have a good show. You deserve to feel good about where you're showing. And Amy, I could say that. I know you work very well. So very good. Well, thank you so much, Sarah. Okay, well, I'm going to sign out, and thanks so much for joining, Emily, too. So please, if you were in on this, if you can, and you are on, oh, awesome, good luck with your first show. Please add me on Instagram, or if you were on there, please mention that you were in on this so I can be sure to follow back. I always try to catch everybody and sometimes don't. So thanks so much, guys. Take care.